Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Inurere podcast series. I am your host, Bidemi Adedire, and today, once more, we are exploring the practice of Nnoboa from Ghana. I'm going to share a brief context, basically, about Nnoboa. This is a beautiful example of collective giving and cooperation, deeply embedded in the values of reciprocity, interdependence, and community support. Nnoboa, which means you help me, I help you in the Akan language, involves farmers coming together to support each other during the farming season. Now, before the season begins, community members gather together to discuss their needs and plan how they will help each other. They form groups and work together to clear fields, plant, harvest, and transport crops. Even the elderly contribute by providing meals, ensuring that everyone is involved. Nnoboa varies slightly across regions, but the core idea remains the same: mutual support and collective effort. And today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Rachel Gyabaah. Please let me know if that is okay. Yay! Okay, guys, I needed to know that I pronounced Rachel's name right. So Rachel is a multidisciplinary development practitioner with a demonstrated history of high-quality program delivery within the NGO and private sectors. She has extensive experience working on projects funded by prominent donors such as USAID, GIZ, and UNICEF. Rachel holds an MA in Globalization and Development from the University of Sussex and a certificate in Leadership and Entrepreneurship for Dartmouth College, USA. She has provided technical and managerial support to government agencies, the private sector, and civil society organizations. Something else you should know: our expertise spans political economic policy management, public financial management, social accountability, research and advocacy, and social protection. She serves as the convener for the CEO platform on the SDG 10, that is Inequality in Ghana, for 3 years, and is a Mandela Washington Fellow and a member of the African Civic Engagement Academy. In her free time, Rachel writes for newspaper publications on climate change and political economic issues. Please welcome Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Bidemi. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming in. I am so excited. I don't know why I'm this excited, but yes, I am excited to have you here, and very soon people will know why. Before we move on, we have this segment called the generosity exercise. This is where you pick a question between 1 and 30 and you answer that question. So pick a number.
I'll pick 5.
Why are you picking 5?
My son just turned 5, so
Happy birthday!
hope will be the best question I pick.
Wow, congratulations. Okay, so number 5. Who is the most generous person you've met, and what makes that person the most generous person?
Thank you, Bidemi. I think the most generous person I have known is my mother even has, and there are times she actually pushes you and asks for things for her friends, for people in the neighborhood, and she's always giving out food, clothes, looking for almost every day, looking for something to give out. And I think that's something we've grown up with, always giving to community and ensuring that everybody is okay. So I'll say my mother.
Yes. I mean, most of the time when I ask people this question, everybody just talks about their mothers. Mothers are the best. Okay, you have one more question to pick.
Okay, so I go for 7.
Okay, let's have 7. Why 7?
The same reason. My older son is turning 7. So
This is the best. Okay, 7 it is. 5 and 7. So let's have 7. What have you received that touched you deeply? What did someone do for you or give to you that impacted you very deeply?
That's a deep one. I think the best gifts I ever had is probably feedback, constructive feedback that I had right after I finished my first degree. in my first job. I think during that period, it was a bit chaotic. We're not sure what to do. I was very young. And then my supervisor just walked to me and says, there's so much potential, there's so much you can do than to just come to the office and sit here and wait to be instructed. And I think that was the best gift I ever had. And being proactive and pushing to where I am today is based on those feedback. Though it was painful the way he put it at the time, but I think it's very valuable looking back.
Wow, that is amazing. This is a new one. I mean, I've heard a lot of stories when I ask people this question, and this is something. Yes, thank you. Okay, so now we are moving, into the podcast proper. Let's talk about the fact that you've done extensive research. You've written an article on Nnoboa, right? And as a result of the partnership with GivingTuesday and Trust Africa. Tell us about your research process for this article. What inspired you to write, what you have today?
Okay. So I'm actually glad that you found the article insightful. My inspiration to write the Nnoboa actually stemmed from the notice I received from my colleagues, Ogo and Halima, requesting for an article on African giving. For me, I think I just wanted, was just an opportunity for me to just highlight a form of giving that it significantly impacts the community and reflects the essence of communal support, and something that has cannot be quantified in terms of monetary terms. And so it just also happened that just around the same period, I was on a field assignment doing some sensitization engagement. And so I had the opportunity to engage with farmers to better understand how Nnoboa has supported them. And then this first-hand engagement provided rich insights, which I complemented by reviewing existing literature, quite limited though, but there was some literature on the subject.
Wow. I mean, you actually met with farmers to get first-hand that's amazing.
Yes.
Is there a story one of the farmers said that struck you, that stood out for you?
Yeah, I think what stood out in the discussion, because I just wanted to understand, was it just for those who have the fiscal ability to do it? How do you do the support ensure inclusivity? And one of the key findings that stood out for me was the provision they made for the elderly men in the practice, where the community acknowledges that while the elderly may not be able to provide physical labor, they contribute. There were alternative ways for them to contribute by providing meals, monetary support, or other support beyond this. But there was a room for them to also participate in the whole process. And for me, this highlights the deep-rooted respect and care within community that we've always grown to see.
Absolutely. I mean, fine. You had first-hand experience. You wrote about Nnoboa and you even spoke with farmers. But let's talk about the fact that the principles of Nnoboa is something that can be seen, or it cuts across different communities, for example. Have you experienced any communal work or project, or even while you're in your experience working with NGOs, have you witnessed something that now, thinking about it, reflecting on it, it does feel like the Nnoboa practice or principles was in play?
Yes, I have experienced that, and though it's not in Nnoboa, as you said, the communal approach comes to play. So, the first one, I have seen these principles in action. One would be in terms of financial support within the community. So in my past work, we had a cooperative that provided financial support, or a structure, which used to be called Senfingo. And that embodied the mutual support for farmer cooperatives. So these groups not only provide financial assistance, but it's also fostered a sense of solidarity and collective responsibility. Another one will be in community development projects, which I have seen in rural Ghana, where I had the opportunity to participate in a community sensitization on maternal health. And this was about an infrastructure development. And so in the rural communities, the health sector has a structure called community health planning and services, and we call it CHIPS compound. And the experience there whilst community were thinking of how do we support to build this infrastructure, the community will bring together the land, water, the resources they brought, together, labor, and jointly build the health facility, which also fosters some sense of ownership and sustainability. So these are some of the experience. Though I have not had a first hand of participating in the actual Nnoboa practice within the farming community, I have seen other ways where community have come together to practice this.
Amazing. Let's talk about the fact that you have a wealth of knowledge and expertise working with international donors and organizations. Have you seen some organizations you've worked with also embodying this principle of generosity? Or do you think the international body or these entities can learn from practices like Nnoboa?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the principles of Nnoboa, they hold immense value for modern community projects and philanthropy work. And principles that we talk about mutual support, cooperation, that is embodied, it's applied in community projects and some philanthropic efforts that I've seen. I think I've just mentioned about my former job where we had past work, where that was the principle that was embodied into the community financial support or structure. You've seen that in community development projects that a lot of institutions are currently on indigenous knowledge, being able to provide solutions based on indigenous knowledge and not bringing external knowledge and solutions to the kind of work we do. So this really holds immense value, and it's something that most donor partners should and try to embody or ensure that this is reflected in the kind of work that we do.
Absolutely, Rachel. Thank you so much for sharing. And I mean, we are already moving to our next segment. This is where you get to ask me anything. I hand over the mic to you as the amazing guest that you are, and you ask me a question, or you just, steer this conversation the way you'd like. So is there anything on your mind, anything that comes to mind? You've met me for the first time. Is there something you like, okay, I'm interested in knowing this about the host?
Sure. Yes. I think that the discussions around African giving. And so for you, with the opportunity to listen to many other experiences across Africa, what does giving mean to you? What's your understanding? How can we structure and have the many stories or probably formalize some of the ways that we do our giving or our philanthropic work within Africa? Okay. What are some of the things you're picking up and how can we structure this? Yeah.
Okay, so quite the question. I'm on the hot seat. So yes, I completely agree with you that this working on this project, with Trust Africa and GivingTuesday has made me hear stories, seeing stories. I'm also happy to see some stories that I know being highlighted, like the Omugwo story, which I'm very familiar with. We still practice that in Nigeria. I think for me, we are already doing something right, and that is the documentation of this and having a repository to house these practices so they are not lost in time. Us Africans, we are really big on oral traditions, passing knowledge by word of mouth, which is amazing, which is why we are so great at things like podcasting, for example. But documenting these things is one step to ensuring that it's not lost in time. People listen to it 10 years from now. People read about these things 20 years from now. And people see value in practicing these, practices in what they do. Creativity allows for endless applications of supposed traditions, right? This is not the time to say these are things of the old. How can we adapt what we've heard? How can we look at the principles of Nnoboa and not just apply it to farming only, but also apply to what we do here at Giving Tuesday, for example. So these are some things that we're already thinking about. How can we engage the youth as well? Do they know about these practices? Can they share practices that they've seen their parents do? And somehow they are already practicing these things wherever they find themselves. Can we speak to Africans in diaspora? How are they shaping the communities they find themselves in? Are they carrying parts of this culture to these countries? Are they forming groups that allows these practices to thrive? These are some things that just comes to mind when I think about African giving and what can happen and how it can really shape what we know as the African philanthropy sector. I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. You did.
Thank you. Okay. Rachel, it's been amazing speaking with you. You are awesome. You look amazing. And I am here thanking you so much for finding time to make an appearance today.
Thank you, Bidemi. I'm so happy also for you having me here.
Right, and that brings me to the conclusion of today's podcast. Thank you all for joining this episode. You have met with Rachel, the one who actually wrote an article on Nnoboa. You can find this on our GTREX platform. By GTREX, I mean the Giving Tuesday Resource Exchange. Please visit Giving Tuesday to check out all other articles apart from Nnoboa. We have about 20 African practices that you can glean from and also sort of, adapt some of these practices with whatever you're doing. Should you be a philanthropy practitioner or someone who is just really excited about learning about these practices? Join us next time as we continue to celebrate generosity that binds us all. Thank you so much and bye.